I thought Duke got a really good win over Miami this past weekend because I think they needed it probably most. I know some of the conversation going into the weekend with State and Carolina playing each other, like, oh, who needs the win more? And I jokingly said Duke because I think Duke really needed a good quality win because I don't know, for lack of a better term, struggling at times. They're so young and it's such a new team that they're still trying to figure things out. I think this also kind of ties in to tangentially go off that we've seen in Duke, Carolina, or even moments with State, these young freshmen come in and just flourish and blossom right away. Even in recent years, you've seen Paulo Banchero, Zion, RJ Barrett, these freshmen come in and just light things up. Okay, these big 5-star recruits. So the next ones that come in, we're expecting them to do the exact same thing. Yeah. And that's not always the case. Yeah. Some people might take a moment or two, might be coming off an injury, things that they're still trying to figure out at the college level. But then you get a Kyle Filipowski who you don't expect to do what he's doing, and then he's tearing it up. So again, I think the sometimes the expectation is so high on young freshmen that it's almost unreachable. That we have to understand that guys like Zion or Banchero are the exception. They're not the standard. They're the exception to what most freshmen come in and do. Terquavion Smith had a really good freshman year last year for NC State. Really good one. But now we've seen him his second year taking it to a whole different level. Yeah. So again, there's context with all of this. But again, that standard or that expectation, I think, is too high. And we put that expectation on Duke really early this season. And now we're starting to see them figuring things out. That was a really good win against Miami.
And it's not just the players trying to figure it out, too. This is a new coaching staff. Yeah. Of course, Carrawell and John Shire have been at it for a while, but this is John Shire's first year as a head coach. Yeah. And so there's still a lot to figure out with him about that. And he's going about things a different way than what Coach K has gone about it. It's still pretty much the same Duke team, same type of Duke offense. There's a few things that are a little bit different. But when he brought in Jay Lucas, and he told us this on Saturday, Jay Lucas is basically their defensive coordinator for Duke. So their defense has been really good, and they found their defensive identity, I think, which is partly why they won at Miami game. They didn't score a bucket in the last 5 minutes of that game against Miami, but they still were able to pull out a win. But the coaching staff, they're still trying to figure out things. Dariq Whitehead also did not play in that last 5 minutes of that game. Filipowski was technically the number one player, or I think it was Lively who's number one player. Dariq Whitehead was like number two in the class. But Whitehead is supposed to be the most dynamic scorer. He wasn't on the floor, right? So there's still a lot that they are figuring out. And you're right. If you look at the names that Duke has had through that program in the last few years, it can almost spoil you into expecting certain things out of certain freshmen. When you have somebody like Tyus Jones, who was one of basically the reason why Duke won the national championship in 2015, and you look at him and he is a strong contributor for the Grizzlies, part of the reasons why the Memphis Grizzlies are doing as well as they are right now. Then you talk about Brandon Ingram, one of the reasons why the Pelicans are as good as they are right now. Then you talk about Jason Tatum, probably the NBA's MVP right now. Yeah. You mentioned Paulo Banchero, probably going to be the rookie of the year. Zion Williamson would have been the rookie of the year that year if he didn't get hurt. Number one overall pick. And really, if it weren't for injuries, Zion is probably considered a top 6 or 7 player in the NBA right now. And so it's those names. And then, we're kind of glossing over guys like Cam Reddish or RJ Barrett, who are supremely talented themselves. Yeah. You're right with that. Like guys like not every 5-star is going to be immediately NBA ready or ready for that big stage. And Derek Lively, Kyle Filipowski, Dariq Whitehead, they all have to grow up. We haven't even seen Jaden Schutt play. He's been on the bench. Yeah. Tyrese Proctor from Australia, he's still learning the American style of play. He's used to international play. So, it's going to take a little bit for this Duke Blue Devils team, but they're coming around and, they're going to be dangerous. But every team in this state is going to be dangerous right now in the ACC. And so It's going to be very interesting to see what happens come March.
You know, it's amazing. The ACC tournament's less than 2 months away, Chris.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And in your area, Greensboro.
Yeah. You know what? It's going to be an amazing 3-week stretch there because you got the women's ACC tournament, the men's ACC tournament, then the next week, the NCAA tournament first round. And so I've already said to my job, hey, listen, Greensboro Coliseum is like an hour from my house. If you don't want me to travel or if you're trying to save a buck, send me to Greensboro. I'm more than fine with it. Everybody else, they want to travel. Greensboro is like, it's not good enough for them. I'm fine with Greensboro. I can have lunch with my dad. I can have lunch with some cousins. Yeah. I'm good with that. Send me to Greensboro.
You know what? When we're down at the ACC tournament, Chris, 'cause I'm going to be there the whole week. We gotta record some stuff. You taking me around Greensboro
for sure. We definitely do that.
Yeah,
I'll take you to some of the hoods too. Dennis Cox up in Smith Homes. What's going on, y'all? Oh, Chris, don't go so loud. What are you doing?